everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck 630, we're going to talk about Aesi, Tyrant of Gyre Straits. And I figured, you know what? We'll do it live. I realize I don't really, push my lives ahead of time. It's just kind of like, spur of the moment. Let's do it. And we are going to... I don't do this enough to no. I know I am trying to flip it. On my screen, there's two of y'all chat right now. On my screen, the image is backwards. Are y'all seeing it correctly? Because it's mirror image, the casting cost is in the upper left and stuff like that. Trying to find a way to flip my camera, but I think I have to do that before I start. So I don't know if I need to stop, restart. Y'all tell me. What's is it backwards? Are y'all seeing it right? Maybe. Anyway. Aesi, Tyrant of Gyre Strait, is the commander for one of the commander decks. And instead of numbering it as a different set this time, they included it with the thank you very much, Ghostmaker. So the only way to get this was through the commander deck. Now, they just high numbered it, all of the extra cards, so that's why Commander Legends has something like 700 something cards. But this was kind of, the actual pre-constructed deck was not bad. Hello, Robert. Not bad at all. As a matter of fact, there are quite a few of the original cards in here, but I kind of wanted to, I just hate to change out 5 cards or 10 cards and, slap a number on it and be done with it. So, but you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. So this is, Semicolon easy mode. It's super Tatiova. So I do have some random stuff in here that I have pulled that I've been waiting for a card. So I guess first, let's obviously it's a landfall deck, so let's look at our landfall stuff now. Had to put, when I very first saw the card, Aesi, I was like, well, just like we all did, it's bigger Tatiova, so I had to put Tatiova. It come from a plane where they didn't use the landfall keyword, but it's landfall, right? So you gain a life, draw a card. Weirdly enough, Adventuring Gear is a great card, especially when you're making multiple land drops a turn. I kind of wish I had an Azusa for the deck, but I don't. So things being what they are. Scoot Swarm's one of the new ones from Zendikar Rising. It's just nuts. Any card that causes Magic Online to rewrite part of their program, or I'm sorry, Arena to rewrite part of their program, that's a win with me, right? So, Rune Crab. Now, I did get to see this deck played. Buddy mine, Donnie, played this deck the other night, and turn 1 Rune Crab in a 6-player game was quite effective, I must say. Y'all know I love the Rampaging Balos. Retreat to Kazandu. Now, this was like his turn 3 play. Yeah, totally. I love Scoot Swarm because he was playing a land, and that crab was getting ridiculously large. It was a beater. Territorial Size Cat, it's so. Now, Evolution Sage. I really like Evolution Sage because, there's not a whole lot of proliferate things. I am running a Simic Ascendancy, so that way we can proliferate those counters, and we might accidentally stumble into a accidental win condition. Hey, Colin, what's up? And then, of course, Avengers Zendikar. I opened several of these after I needed one for a different deck, which we all saw that one. I do have a Ramanop Excavator because it came in the deck, I do believe. So it was already in there, and I went, well, I definitely want to play lands for my graveyard, but I want to make sure I have lands worth playing for my graveyard. Stuff beyond the obvious, which is, the Panorama, Myriad Landscape, Terramorphic, and Evolving. I think there are other quote unquote, the Blighted Woodland. So I was like, I want something with a little more punch to it, right? I did open this, a Wasteland. This is kind of what makes me want the Azusa in the deck, because maybe I don't need that Azusa in the deck, because to be honest with you, I don't know that I'm responsible enough to play with essentially a Crucible, a Wasteland, and Azusa. I have that in my Azusa decks, and sometimes it's hard to be the good guy. Hey, Ron. Glad you could join us. We got Multani because, he counts lands you control and lands in your graveyard. So it's Terramorphics and Evolvings and stuff like that, just help. And when you can play them from your graveyard to get more lands out, really helps. So I'm going to roll through the ramp here, because we have to think the ramp in this particular deck, it's not just a Harrow, okay? In addition to getting the 2 lands, we're also getting 2 card draws. So that's, Ramanap got a reprint in Commander Legends. I think it's part of this precon deck. But when you get those lands, you're drawing cards. So it really does. Farseek, Fertilid kind of works with the Proliferate guy in the Simic Ascendancy. Civic Wayfinder, which normally is not that exciting. Yes, you're just putting it in your hand, but Ranger's Path is sexy because, you get 2 forests and draw 2 cards. What? 3 visits. Search for Tomorrow. Kodama's Reach. Beanstalk Giant on the backside. It's a beater, The Rampant was the original. Is that the original Rampant Girl from Mirage? Cultivate. Moanville Acid Moss. Now, a lot of people have mixed opinions on, land destruction. Targeted land destruction, I believe, I've asked a whole lot of people, and targeted land destruction is not necessarily frowned upon. Targeted land destruction, you're going to need if you run up against that Maze of Ith, Gaia's Cradle, any of those enemy flip enchantments that turn into lands. There's a whole host of land. Homeward Path, if you're playing whatever. There's a whole host of lands that sometimes just need to go. And if y'all remember the one game that I played with Sheldon and the RC, targeted land destruction was encouraged. So I was like, okay, I don't feel bad. Coiling Oracle, Springbloom Druid, Farhaven Elf, Nissa's Renewal. I know it's expensive, but hey, we're playing with a 6-mana commander, so we might as well, right? Sylvan Scrying, of course, is going to go get the land in the card. I'll admit the inclusion of Wasteland, the very next card after it, I was like, I need a Sylvan Scrying to go find it. How's it going, Renrose? Yavimaya Elder, Burnished Heart, because, I know it's weird for me to play a Burnished Heart in a deck that didn't have white, but Thought Vessel, because we're really, really going to, if we're dumping this many lands into play, we're going to be drawing a ton of cards. And that is why I put the Thought Vessel in, the Library of Ling, and, to another point, a Psychosis Crawler. Because that's a win condition in and of itself, right? We do have a Locket, and then the Reshape the Earth. Because you know what? Why not? Why, thank you, CG. Why not Reshape the Earth, right? Because, I mean, if you've got any one, two, by the time we cast this at 9 mana, we're going to have several different landfall triggers on the table, and getting 10. Now, my favorite use of this card, I have not done it yet, but I have a copy of Reshape the Earth chilling in the binder, waiting on the next 5-color deck that I decide to build, because it's totally going to be gates. And I may just go back and do that gate tribal deck I did, what was it, a couple hundred decks ago, and just slap a Reshape the Earth in it. Because you can go get, odds are, if you're playing gate tribal and all that stuff, you've got 1 or 2 probably in play. You can just go get the rest and the Maze's End. Plus, I think there's 2 other gates that are not guild gates. So now our card draw, there is not a lot of card draw because, every land we play is card draw, which, by the way, we're running a ton of lands. The deck list is over on Archideck like always. I will have to link it somehow. I didn't do that in the beginning. I may have to go back in retcon and put the list in there. But Urban Evolution, I classify that. I classify all of these as draw instead of ramp, because, draw 3 cards, you get to play an additional land. The 3 cards you draw is guaranteed. Playing a land is not. You may not have a land. You may not draw a land. So that's why I consider them card draw instead of ramp, even though they're kind of a hybrid both. Well, since it's Simic. Growth Spiral, the miniature version, and then Explore, the other version of it. Black Blade Reforged. Glad this got a reprint. I mean, it wasn't expensive anyway. It just made it more available. So I really kind of like it. I put in the Worldly Tutor that I got from the overpriced green box. I mean, it's a good set. It's a great card, and it helps me go find the Ramanop Excavator. Yeah, I know it's kind of, as soon as I put that Ramanop Excavator in there, it kind of skewed off in a different tangent, we all like Regrowth, right? I mean, there's no reason to not like it. And then this new one, the Balagad Recovery, is 1 more mana for the same card, or it's a land. So I think this is the only MDFC. There's got to be a better name for that than MDFCs, but in a landfall deck, if you can't proc those landfall triggers, sometimes you just feel so behind. So this, if you draw it and you don't need it, hey, it's an extra land. And I have a restock because why not? Oh, I missed a ramp card. Journey of Discovery. Now, more times than not, we're just going to pay the 6 and do the thing, but overrun, because, it does win games. Now, Zuran Orb is in there to pretty much, it's not about the live game. Yes, Delshax, this is live. It's, the Zuran Orb is not so much about the life gain as it is the being able to put the lands in the graveyard and play them again to get the landfall triggers from the excavator. I really need a Crucible, but that thing is just so not cheap. Brawn, because, you can throw it out there and it will die eventually. Even if it doesn't die, everybody knows you want it to die. So it's kind of almost a deterrent, I'm going to play my Brawn. And yeah, they might still hit you with flyers or whatever. But as far as big ground things, nobody ever wants to kill a Brawn. Have you noticed that? It just, okay, I'll go attack somewhere else. And of course, we have a hurricane. I had an unlimited hurricane left over. There's some life gain in here with Tatiova and things like that. And so there's a possibility to gain some life. And there's also a possibility that we're going to have a ton of land and ton of access to mana. Hurricane. The legendary turtle. Huh. But now I really want to talk about Uyo. You get to, for 4/4 for 6, yeah, flying, whatever. But the reason why we're playing it is you get to return 2 lands you controlled their owner's hand to copy an instant or sorcery. Now, all of those fetch cards that you saw, the ramp cards, were instants or sorceries, right? So this way, first off, you get 2 lands in your hand. Now, I know that's a drawback, and it's supposed to be part of a cost that is supposed to balance the card, because it's Moonfolk, and that's kind of what Moonfolk did. Yeah, Suffer X is great. I love the unlimited wording, Chris. But you get, in this deck, the drawback is kind of an upside. You get to put those lands back in your hand to play them again, and then you get to copy your, of course, pie in the sky is what? Reshape the earth. I don't know if you've got that many lands left in your deck at that point, but either way, copy target instant or sorcery spell. Now, it doesn't say you control, so you can copy anybody's thing if there happens to be a large, fireball running around or whatever. I don't know. I do kind of like finding weird corner case scenarios for especially Kamigawa cards. Not like Uyo needed any help, but let's look at some removal. Had a good old-fashioned counterspell in the deck. I was very, very pleased with that. I do like the card. Y'all know how much I love that clean 3-word text box. It's just, there's some things so magical. Delta, as far as a C EDH deck, I don't... from what most people would consider a CDH deck, that's kind of not my style. Although I do have some decks that are a little more aggressive than others. Now, I have already picked out deck number 700, and I'm currently working on it like a card at a time. I'll see a card or I'll throw it in. But deck number 600 is something I haven't done before. Yeah, and it's getting hard to do at 630 decks, We also have Negate, Return to Nature, Beast Within. Beast Within was in this precon. I'm telling you, is it just me, or are the $20 precons have better reprints in them than the $40 precons did? You know what I'm saying? There was a lot in these 2 Commander Legends decks. The white-red one had a sword in it, Sword of Plowshare. Unravel the Ether. I really like Unravel the Ether because, you know what? Indestructible is a thing that exists. Agreed. Not everything needs to be top tier. If everything's special, nothing is special, right? Okay, I know way too many Disney movie quotes. But Unravel the Ether, I like because it shuffles it away. And a lot of times that's way better than putting it in the graveyard. And, Darksteel Forge can be a problem. And the last removal is Acidic Slime. Now, I did pull this one from a pack. I think I pulled it from a pack, or did I buy it? I don't remember. Either way, here it is. But Acidic Slime's a great card. I love it. And most of the time, it kills 2 things. Either that or that Death Touch steers, an attacker in the wrong, a different direction. So now let's look at the non-basic lands that I haven't covered yet. Of course, I have that Reliquary Tower because, you kind of need it drawing this many cards. the 2 thriving lands from Jumpstart, the Thriving Isle and the Thriving Grove. I'm about out of those. That I kind of can't wait for them to, materialize the second wave of Jumpstart. Well, actually, a lot of it's a very good question, Ren. At first, it's like, it's kind of not normal. I mean, I've built these decks one at a time over a period now of 4 years. So it's a lot of times it doesn't phase me, but there are times when I walk in this room and I see that wall and I go, this is not normal. But the play group has just kind of, because I've been playing with these guys, some of them for 20 years. And so they've known me long before, any of this. And like Friday when we played, I think most everybody, at least in one game, we all die rolled for a random deck off the wall. And that's kind of fun because you end up playing stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily play, or I get to see decks from the other side. No, I don't have a P.O. box. I am actively working on it, but there's a hurdle there for me that I have to get over, and then I'll be able to get a P.O. box, a poll box. But it's really fun to play random decks and just to see them. Yeah, $35 decks can be really, really good decks. Anyway, let's see. Woodland Stream, Thornwood Falls, Vivid Creek, Rogue's Passage, because, you might want to get through somewhere. But now, y'all see me play the Simic Growth Chamber quite a bit in a lot of decks, right? But the original bounce lands were from Visions, the Jungle Basin and the Coral Atoll. Yes, you have to return an untapped specific, like an island or a forest, but whatever. It's good. Simic Guildgate, Lumbering Falls of Vivid Grove, and lastly, the Command Tower. Now, y'all know I used to save Command Towers for the 3 colors and more, but since they've gotten so much more common in Commander Legends, I have purchased a small stack, and now I at least want a Command Tower in every Commander Legends deck, right? Because that way, I don't know, it just somehow just feels like the flavor, right? So didn't do anything special with the basics. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. 3 decks from now, Rebecca and Galatian. I know that's not the most powerful combo, but flavor-wise, I felt they kind of had to be together. But they all have, since they were characters in the Urza Saga storyline, they had to have Urza Saga basics, right? I mean, they had to. So I've got my Christmas boxes in the way again. Anyway, we're up top so you can see it. So I'm going to go put 630. I am still in my jammies. Y'all have to excuse me. 630 is on the wall. But yeah, woke up this morning. I was like, I need to record a thing. And then I was like, well, you know what? Why record it when I could just do it live? So, do you play the people on Spell Table? I do have Spell Table. We haven't done it in quite a while. I have played on Spell Table. I've played the patrons. We've done that in the past, and I have joined when the Spell Table thing first got done. I was hopping on with random people to kind of learn the client or whatever. But I do like Spell Table. I think that right there is just proof that Commander players are awesome, that they're found a way to play Commander, even when, literally the whole world's against us. Find the call live. Commander decks. Kennan's really good. Kennan is awesome. Oso, yeah. Well, I think put pajamas. Magic finds a way. Yes, it does. Tell you what, I know this is not a very long live, but I kind of just want to do the deck, and I do appreciate y'all showing up. But I hear in the next room, my grandson has just arrived. Well, I guess my daughter has too, but I've seen her for 30 years. So I'm going to go in there and play with baby Jace. For those of y'all that don't know, my grandson is actually named after Jace. Yeah, I love that. I had nothing to do with that, by the way. Nothing to do. My daughter and her husband met in my game shop, and they, named their kid Jace. I don't know. Like you said, magic finds a way. Anyway.
That's a lie. He did have something to do with it.
Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Sorry about that.
Random kids. What can you do? So, I did have something to do with it? Wait a minute. I don't remember that. I got to go in here and find out. Anyway, I love y'all. Yeah. There's a lot of sass that comes with my hoodlums. Really a lot. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good holiday season. And today is actually one of my children's birthdays. So I'll be taking her out for supper later on and doing that. So I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But thank you so much, Dale Shax. But right now, I think we are going to go shuffle and cut.